My name is Nicolaas van Strien, and I have the honors to be your host for today's event. Today, we will be listening to some excellent pitches from doctoral candidates with a passion for innovation. They are using research-based future technologies and innovations to solve the grand challenges of our time. But for those of you who don't know this contest that well, let me tell you a little bit more about this. The Millennium Pitching Contest is organized by the Technology Academy of Finland as part of the Millennium Innovation Forum partnering program. To be able to attend this contest, the participants have to be doctoral candidates and be representatives from any of the following partners: the Millennium Technology Prize partners, any of the partnering Finnish universities, the Technical Research Center of Finland, VTT, or any of the other Millennium Innovation Forum partners. This contest began already on March 2021, where there was an online pre-selection, after which an interdisciplinary jury made their choice of the 5 finalists of today. They were based on a pre-selection submission. Each of these pitches identifies a challenge and describes a proposed solution. The pitches are scored according to the following criteria. The proposed idea needs to be novel and innovative, but also the idea needs to be relevant and have a significant scientific and societal importance. The 3 best pitches of today, they will get an award as a recognition grant for their work as in the novel, impactful and innovative scientific research. But before we start with our first pitch of today, I would like to introduce to you our expert jury. As chair of this jury, we have the lifelong evangelist of the digital revolution and currently the research director at Aalto University, Professor Yrjö Nuovo. Our next jury member is an established researcher in the organizational communications and is currently the Secretary General of the Finnish Academy of Sciences and Letters, Professor Pekka Aula. Then as our next jury member, we don't have a professor, but someone who has a long track record in being involved in the Finnish and European venture capital ecosystems. He is currently the Director of Venture Capital Investments at the Finnish Industry Investment Group, TESI, Juha Lehtola. And as our last jury member, we have an experienced executive from the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. She is currently also the Vice Chair of the Technical Academy of Finland and Chairwoman of the Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences in Finland, Leni von Bonsdorf. Thank you all for being here. I would like to ask Yrjö a question as chair of this jury. What do you hope to hear from these pitches today?
Okay, thank you. I really hope to learn about what is leading edge research in Finland here and hear excellent presentations about that, how we solve the big environmental issues and other fundamental problems doing basic research here in Finland. And the second point is that it will be very exciting to see how you put that in 3 minutes, its presentation.
Thank you, Yrjö. I guess we're all excited to listen to these pitches today, so let's hope that Yrjö's wishes come through as well. And with that, our jury is now introduced, and I would like to ask you the question, and are you ready for some high-quality, fast-paced and dynamic 3-minute pitches which describe innovations for a better life? If that answer is yes, then let's get started with our first candidate of today. Our first candidate of today got a master's in molecular biotechnology and diagnostics, after which she started her doctoral studies in 2020 in the molecular life science program at the University of Turku. Her work focuses on the development of highly fluorescent lectin-bearing nanoparticles to detect and alter sugars at an early stage of cancer. Representing the University of Turku, give a warm welcome for Shruti Jain.
Cancer, once rare, today has become an unspoken fear of many. It claims about 10 million lives every year. That's almost twice the size of Finland. This number is so huge because the symptoms of cancer usually appear too late for treatment to be useful. Cancer has already spread to different parts of the body. Cancer is a silent killer. So what we need is to detect cancer in early stages. And that is my PhD project. So how does a cancer cell look different from a normal cell? The answer lies in sugars. All your cells are coated with sugars, but the sugars on the cancer cells are vastly different than the sugars on your normal cells. These sugars then enter into the bloodstream, and so I'm aiming for these sweet spots of cancer. To detect these different sugars in the blood, several techniques are currently available. However, the problem lies in their low sensitivity. I, on the other hand, use a platform which increases the sensitivity by using a detection system which acts like a magnet and is made of two components. The first is called lectin. Lectins are proteins that bind to specific sugars on different cancers. This bond between the sugar and the lectin is naturally weak, but is considerably strengthened by using the second component, nanoparticles, which is a unique feature of my project. By coating the lectins on these nanoparticles, I now get a detection system which is more effective in catching the different sugars of cancer. Sounds complicated, but it's actually not. I use just a two-step process. I use just a drop of blood and then I add the lectin-coated nanoparticles. These nanoparticles are fluorescent. A successful binding leads to fluorescence, and fluorescence means cancer. It's very simple and cost-effective, and it's also fast as it gives results within 2 hours. And that's why this technique can also be used in areas where proper health setups are not available. In future, this test could also be developed for screening settings. In my work till now, I have developed a good lectin nanoparticle platform for ovarian cancer. The initial results are promising, and I am now testing it in larger clinical settings. Similarly, this technique is also currently being applied to other cancers, including lung, pancreatic, and breast in our research team. It is said that good things come to those who wait. But unfortunately for cancer, waiting costs lives. So early detection is the key to curing cancer. Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti, for your pitch. And our next candidate is another representative from the University of Turku. He is doing his doctoral studies in the Laboratory of Materials and Chemistry and Chemical Analysis. But before he started working in Finland, he worked for several years in India, after which he decided to start his PhD in Finland. He will present his research, which is focusing on the sustainable development of converting carbon dioxide into fuels using renewable energy, and thereby helping to mitigate the climate change and trying to close the carbon cycle. Please welcome Sachin.
Our Earth is burning, and the main factor promoting it is increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases. And sadly, to our attention, carbon dioxide makes for almost 80% of the total greenhouse gases, mostly coming from industrial process and combustion of fossil fuel. An immediate solution to this problem is carbon dioxide-free energy source like solar and wind energy, which are now greatly contributing to our increasing energy demand. But unfortunately, these renewable sources fails to stand out in terms of time-dependent availability that we are used to from fossil fuel-derived energy, thereby leaving an important question to be addressed. When sun doesn't shine or wind doesn't blow, where will our energy come from? A second alternative to this problem is carbon dioxide capture and storage, but either they are very expensive or inefficient. We are in desperate need for a solution to counter climate change through storage of energy from renewable sources and reutilization of carbon dioxide to meet our future energy demands. Electrochemical conversion of carbon dioxide to fuel using renewable sources sounds to be a winning approach. as it is easily controlled and scalable. It works under normal temperature and pressure. Isn't it interesting? A gas causing global warming will be our future source of energy. I was amazed by this idea. But the bottleneck of this method is high requirement of energy to break down this small and stable carbon dioxide molecule. My project focuses on development of catalyst which will lower this energy required and drive the conversion of carbon dioxide to fuel. What could be a better motivation to design a catalyst than the nature itself? So we focus our attention on metal porphyrins as a potential catalyst. Such compounds present in chlorophyll, as you all know, is known to do this magic, converting carbon dioxide into energy through a very well-known process called photosynthesis. We designed such molecules and modified part of it. Such molecules, when used as a catalyst, has lowered the energy required to break down the carbon dioxide to almost half, with increasing catalytic activity. Such an amazing approach. My work will greatly contribute towards moving our reliance away from fossil fuel. Carbon dioxide generated from the combustion of the fuel will be recycled back to the fuel, thereby closing the carbon cycle and making Earth greener again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin, for your pitch. And as a third candidate, she has an interesting title to a pitch, as she invites us over a trip down the toilet and talk about what you find down the toilet might be your feed in the future. With her background in bioengineering and working as a doctoral candidate in the Bio and Circular Economy Research Group in Tampere University, her research focused on nutrition recovery from wastewater streams using bioelectrochemical systems. Next on stage is Vera Koskue.
I'm sure you have eaten something today. I definitely have. Now, we tend to take the abundance of food for granted. But as the human population is growing rapidly, it has become harder and harder to feed us all. That's why we nowadays use nitrogen fertilizers in agriculture to produce food more efficiently. Now we have nitrogen gas everywhere in the atmosphere, but sadly few plants can directly use it. We therefore first need to convert it into another form of nitrogen, positively charged ammonium, which is something that plants love to feed on. Nowadays, this process alone feeds half of the human population, which is amazing. But unfortunately, the process also uses up to 2% of all energy consumed in the world, which is a lot. Also, this energy is produced from fossil fuels, so it's not sustainable. So far, the use of nitrogen fertilizers has also been very linear. We use them to grow food, we eat the food, and then use the bathroom. There, we flush a lot of the nitrogen down the toilet, and it's taken to a wastewater treatment plant. Up until this point, most of the nitrogen has remained in the form of ammonium, so the exact same form plants use to grow. But at the wastewater treatment plant, ammonium is converted back to nitrogen gas and released to the atmosphere. This again requires a lot of energy. In other words, we are wasting energy, going back and forth between these two forms of nitrogen. It's clear we need a more circular approach. So we have plenty of nitrogen as ammonium at the wastewater treatment plant. I say we should recycle this ammonium back to agriculture instead of producing new fertilizers. What if I told you we've developed a process that could recycle ammonium with up to 90% efficiency? Indeed, we have a novel electrochemical process. In electrochemistry, we make use of the positive charge of ammonium. This charge makes ammonium react to electric fields. When we apply a negative electric field, it works like a magnet. The positive ammonium is drawn to it. But we can also stop the ammonium with a positively charged barrier that will repulse it. With both positive and negative electric fields, we capture ammonium into a liquid fertilizer. And the best news is, we don't need to use any chemicals for this, unlike in other nitrogen recycling processes, such as stripping or struvite precipitation. We only need electricity, and it can be produced from renewable sources. So this innovative electrochemical process is one step closer towards a closed nutrient loop, which will secure sustainable food production in the future. That's something to think about the next time you're sitting on the toilet. Thank you.
And thank you, Vera, for your pitch. The next candidate that will pitch for us has a background in optoelectronics. Having worked for almost a year in Japan, conducting research on developing new materials for electronic devices, he even states to be fluent in Japanese. He is now doing his doctoral studies at Tampere University and executing his work at Vaisala. His work has the goal of developing an optoelectronic integrated gas sensor network for the real-time monitoring of air pollutants. Give it up for Samu-Pekka Ojanen.
More and more people live in an urban environment than ever before. This means that more and more people get exposed to toxic emissions and air pollutants on a daily basis, which leads to health problems and early deaths, which can be accounted for by these emissions. Not to mention the negative effects such emissions have on the climate and environment. In order to target our measures to reduce these emissions, we need data. We need to be able to measure these emissions, preferably in real time. So what if you could have an integrated sensor on every car measuring air pollutants in real time? What if these sensors would form a network that was connected to the Internet of Things, giving you access to this real-time air pollution data? And what if anyone could access this data, for example, from their smartphone? This kind of vision would require a platform that was reliable, wouldn't consume much power, and was affordable. It would also need to be compact so that you can fit them into existing devices. Optics has offered various solutions to tackle this kind of issue, but the problem with these solutions is that they're too bulky and expensive to widely adopt into consumer electronics or automotive applications. But fortunately, the technology to build these type of integrated sensors is becoming a reality in the form of photonic integrated circuits, which are these small chips that manipulate light on a very small scale. In fact, you could fit one on the tip of your finger. Now, because these chips don't have any moving parts, they are very reliable, low power, and robust. They could also be mass-produced, which makes them a very cost-effective solution. Our research focuses on building these types of integrated sensors by combining the state-of-the-art light source technology from our research group, ORC, at Tampere University, and the unique photonic integrated circuit platform from VTT. And the proof of concept application is done in collaboration with Vaisala. This is a very unique collaboration of expertise in Europe. Our technology could be used to build various types of integrated sensors for measuring, for example, greenhouse gases or toxic emissions. In addition, the underlying technology could have much wider application in medical technology or ICT, with a strong impact like the one microelectronics has had in the past few decades. Thank you.
Thank you, Samu-Pekka, for your pitch. Our final candidate of today is a research scientist and doctoral student at the Technical Research Center of Finland, VTT. She's working in the Industrial Biotechnology and Food Solutions team, where her work is focusing on the production of biodegradable plastics and microorganisms. She will ask us the question of how to avoid the plastic pollution in the future. With her pitch, she will give us a basic understanding of some fully biodegradable and bio-based plastics. Last on stage is Anna Ylinen.
So what do we think about plastics? They're really useful. They help us to reduce our food waste by protecting the food from air, moisture, smells, bugs, etc. And they're really useful in sanitary items and in COVID masks. But if they end up in the nature, they stay there as trash for a long time. So what solutions do we have? One option is to use fully biodegradable bioplastics made by these awesome bacteria cells. And in the picture you can see white granules. Those are actually the ready-made bioplastics which you only need to remove from the cells. They are called as PHAs, as polyhydroxyalkanoates. But how do they differ from polylactic acid that is made by chemists? Both of them are bio-based, yes, and they are water resistant, awesome, and they're moldable. But BHAs degrade in environment much faster, and some of them even in the sea. They can be produced in industry by feeding the cells with sugars and then removing those granules and molding them into the items, which can be later composted when they're not needed anymore. The use of sugar is, however, expensive and not very sustainable. So we need alternatives like industrial and organic waste and carbon dioxide. Here, synthetic biology can help us. I'm studying in my PhD at VTT how to use yeast cells instead of bacteria. Yeast tolerate low pH and harmful conditions, so they have a lot of potential for various industrial wastes. But synthetic biology can do a lot more. It can help us to recycle the existing BHAs, and it can also push boundaries of what cells can do so that the future materials would not only be biodegradable but also advanced. Let's take a closer look at the cells. Biological systems are complicated. Each dot here represents one biochemical reaction, which is done by one enzyme, which is coded by one gene. And with synthetic biology, we can control all these dots individually. For example, if I would delete some genes somewhere, I could create more. I could teach the cells to use new sustainable raw materials. Or if I would add some genes somewhere, I could create a colorful bioplastics so that also the colors are biodegradable. And this is the best part. If I would turn off some genes for a certain time, I could create advanced structure, for example, for nanoelectronic, medical devices, strong rubbery materials, and many new applications. It's also possible to increase stability and processing features. These are only a few examples how synthetic biology can enhance the existing technologies. In the future, our plastics will be compostable.
Thank you, Anna, as our last contestant of today. You've heard 5 pitches from excellent doctoral candidates. Our jury is now the hard task of deciding who is going to be the winner of today. They will have a short deliberation and we'll get back to you. Welcome back to the Millennium Pitching Contest 2021. Our jury had a fierce discussion in deciding who is going to win the big prize of today. But before we start announcing the winners, I'll give word to Yrjö for some nice words about this contest.
Thank you. Yes, we were really impressed about the very high quality of the pitches that we heard and saw today. And another thing that was impressive also that all the pitches focus on our global challenges. We had one on energy, we had the energy, environment and health. All the important global challenges included. Okay, then we can move forward.
All right. So for our third prize, we have some more words.
Yeah.
Yrjö?
Yes. Third prize is to Samu-Pekka Ojanen, and we were really delighted about his excellent multidisciplinary approach, and noticed that also the industrial participation helps in the future use of the technology, and really can solve many of the urban air challenges.
So third prize, Samu-Pekka Ojanen.
Thank you.
All right, and then for our second prize, before we mention the name, let's give a few words with Yrjö.
Okay, the second prize. It was very clearly explained. The idea is very innovative and it has potentially high societal value. The impact will depend on how easy the innovation can be adopted. And the person is the project is nanoparticle-based blood test for early detection of cancer, and the person is Shruti Jain. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is the certificate.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
And then the big winner of today of the Millennium Pitching Contest 2021. We'll give Yrjö some more words for this big winner.
Okay, I will comment on this presentation. Pitch was all aspects of the pitch were well explained, and potential catalyst has high environmental impact. And the project title is Carbon Dioxide to Fuel, and the person is Sachin Kohrekar. And this is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And with Sachin as our big winner, we conclude this event for today. I hope you've been enjoying and learning a thing or two from all these pitches. We hope to see you at our next event. Thank you.